Hey everyone, Robin Riley for Bello's Designs. Welcome to my video tutorial that I'm calling Making a Polaroid. This is going to be part of our junk journal series. So today, before we get started on the supplies and the details of this project, I want to invite you to join us in our Facebook groups. The first group is Bello's Design Lounge, and that's where we showcase all of our Lavinia products. We also have a page called the Bello's Design a la carte. There we showcase all the other products that Patty currently has in her shop. We are on other social media platforms such as Instagram, Pinterest, and TikTok. Simply search the hashtag Bello's Designs to find us. So I want to show you how I created these cute little Polaroid pictures that literally resemble the Polaroids that we used to take many moons ago. So when you look at the white ones, those definitely look like the actual Polaroid. And I even finished off the backs so that they looked exactly like the back of an actual Polaroid. Here I wanted to just show you that if you didn't want to do the white frame, you could use, which I used was a paper bag, and I just covered the frame with the paper bag, but I did go ahead and finish it. Now these could be placed inside your journal. You could actually glue them onto a page, and if you decided to glue the entire Polaroid onto a page, then you wouldn't have to worry about finishing the back. But this is considered a piece of ephemera, so you could use this in a pocket of many kinds, which I've showed you in a previous video, or you could turn this Polaroid into a pocket by simply gluing 3 of the sides, and then another Polaroid could go here in the pocket and be pulled out, or other types of ephemera that you would like to add to a pocket. So you have a couple options with these. For today's purpose, I'm going to try to recreate this one here with Olivia. And for the background, I used Distressed Oxide inks. I used Kitsch Flamingo, Tattered Rose, and Dried Marigold. Really makes for a beautiful background, I think. Everything that I used stamp-wise is done with VersaFine Clair inks. I'm using Nocturne, Charming Pink, Summertime, Verdant, and Shady Lane. The stamps that I'm using today, I will be using Olivia. This is the small version of Olivia, which is LAV 753, and the foliage set number 2, LAV 695, and I will be using all 4 of those stamps. To apply the ink, the Distress Oxide inks, I'll be using blending brushes, but you can use whatever you like to blend with. For stamping purposes, the foliage I will stamp with a small acrylic block, and Olivia will be stamped by me using my Misty tool. The other supplies that will be needed will be pencils. One, just a regular old pencil for tracing. Next, I have a black colored pencil that I'll use for grounding. If I don't get a nice inked Olivia, I can fill in some spots with the black permanent marker, or I can use a Q-tip with the VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. And today, that's what I would like to demonstrate. Now, I will also be using some glitter pens to color her wings. Now, let's look at the paper. The paper that's going to be needed, and it doesn't matter what weight you use because we are layering. There are at least 2 layers, maybe 3, depending on how you're going to use your Polaroid. But you will need a piece of white card that measures 3.5 inches by 4 1/8 inch. you will be removing a square that is 3 1/16 inches. You will be using a piece of white card that is 3 3/8 inch square, and that's the part that we will actually be decorating. And if you want to finish the back of the card, you will need a piece of black card that measures the same as the white card that we're decorating, which is that 3 3/8 inch square. Now, to cut this out, you can do two different things. You can take that 3 1/16 inch square, okay, and you can lay that on your paper and trace around that. This is typically what I do. This is my my stencil, so to speak, to create more Polaroids. So I would trace this square onto my paper, and then and this is what I like to use. I use a blade. This is a Fiskar. This is something I've had for ages. I use this blade with a metal ruler and a cutting mat. And I suggest a metal ruler because when using a blade, if it's plastic, you will gouge your ruler and then you're going to ruin it because it won't be a straight edge anymore. Now, you could also use scissors. If you traced that square onto your paper, then you would poke a hole in the center with your scissors, cut a line to a corner, maybe even 2 corners, and then start cutting out the lines that you traced. Now, I wish I could tell you, I quit counting. I wish I could tell you the number of times I've tried to make this video. And seriously, I think my nerves got the best of me using a razor blade on camera. I destroyed so many pieces of paper, and I redid this video so many times that I decided, you know what, I've got to do this part off camera. So I ask you to just understand, but I did use the razor blade. I cut out all 4 sides. And then once removed, there's my frame. Now, my frame's not perfect, and that's okay. I'm all right with it maybe having a little jagged edge here and there, but definitely the side where the tracing lines are will be the back side of the card. Okay, now let's bring in that centerpiece. This is the piece that will be glued in the back, and we'll start the decorating process. So starting with the Kitsch Flamingo and my blending brush. And if you've watched any of my videos, typically I say let's start with the lightest color and work up to the darkest. But today I did it in reverse and I was really happy with the results. So I'm going to stick with that today. So my Kitsch Flamingo is extremely moist, as you can see. Isn't it amazing how some of these pads you get are either super moist or not so moist? Yeah, it's just one of those things, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to add the layer of Kitsch first. Then I'm going to, using the same ink brush, blending brush, I'm going to come in with the Tattered Rose. And I'm going to first start right on top of the Kitsch to get a nice blend right off the bat. There we go. And then the Dried Marigold, which I will switch out brushes for that. This is a fun color. If you don't have this in your stash, this is one I would recommend. It's really a pretty shade of orange. It's almost like cantaloupe orange. Okay, straight across, blending into that tattered rose. And what I'll do is I'll bring my pink brush back in without adding any more ink. And I'm just going to go over where those two colors meet to get a nice soft blend. Now I could keep adding more color if I wanted, but I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, get this out of the way, and I'm going to wipe off my surface. Now let me grab my Misty and we'll start the stamping. All right, I'm going to use the magnets to hold my paper in place in case I need to stamp a double stamp of Olivia. I'm going to place her in the center. Let me get that down a little bit. All right, stamping on oxides is a little bit different. What happens is that oxides have a chalky finish. So even using VersaFine Clair, if you stamp right away, your black is going to look a little bit chalky. It's not going to be as clear as it typically would be. I'm okay with that. If you're not, then I suggest you either let your cards sit and dry completely or touch it up with a heat gun to get the drying process to start quicker. Okay, let me ink up Olivia. She is such a cute little fairy, I think. And let's see what kind of a print we get on top of the oxide. Like I said, it's a little different to stamp on. Right now, here, as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but I don't have a super clean stamp. So what I'm going to do is give it one more tap of ink. Again, with oxides, I have found if you let the stamp sit too long, it'll actually remove some of that ink, especially if it's wet. Okay, let me clean my stamp quickly here. And I'm not going to stamp anymore, but this is where I want to show you how you can use a Q-tip to fill in that area. So simply with the Q-tip, I am going to dab the end into the ink, okay? And then I'm just literally going to dab over the areas that are not dark enough for me. And that very nicely fills in the areas that weren't very solid. But I'm not like really particular about it. I'm okay if there's a little bit of that that's not perfect. So as you can see, okay, you can see it's pretty shiny because it's pretty wet in that area, but it will dry. I am going to just give it a quick little dry with my heat tool. Hopefully so I don't smudge that. And the other thing you can do is take a piece of paper towel, lay it on top, and just kind of press into the image. And that's going to remove some of the wet ink, and it'll help it dry a little bit quicker. So you can already see how it's drying. Okay, moving on to the foliage stamps. So I used the sweet little flower, and I'm just going to randomly stamp in the Charming Pink, another great color to have in your stash. It is always best to take the ink to the stamp and not the other way around. Reason being, if you do it this direction into the ink, chances are your fingertips are going to go in, or you're going to catch the edges of your acrylic block. So keep that in mind. So very randomly, I'm going to do first and second generations. I almost did just what I told you not to do. Here, let me get that cleaned up. Like I said, very random. I'm just going to put first and second. I'm not too worried if I don't get like a perfect image. Those of you that have watched me long enough have heard me say that I am not the best stamper using acrylic blocks. I'm just not good at it, period. Okay, I think I'm content with that. Let me get this cleaned off quickly. The next color I'm going to come in with is that Summertime. This is a fun orange. And it's kind of cool because I'm stamping on orange and you can still see it. These two colors on top of each other. The Summertime on top of that dried marigold works well together. Again, first and second generation, and I am just going to randomly place these leaves. This is a fun foliage set. These are cute. You can use these so many ways. Okay, again, very random across the base of the card. And then I'll come in with both of the leaves. Yeah, quick clean off there. I'm going to start with the largest leaf first, and I'm going to use the Verdant. Oh, if you like lime greens, this is a beautiful lime green. Again, very randomly, and I am going right on top of the other inks that are wet. I'm just being careful not to let my acrylic block slip. When it's wet like that, you can get it to slip a little bit. So just take your time. And let me do one more here. And then I'm going to do the last leaf in the Shady Lane. Quick clean off. Okay. Can't you just imagine making these great little Polaroid pictures to add to a junk journal? I think they're just, I just love them. When I found this, I was so excited to have something different to add. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Clean off my stamp rather quickly. Now, for the sake of time, I am going to give another blast with my heat tool. You were going to take your time and let it dry. You don't have to do this step. But I don't want to smear it. And I am going to come in with that paper towel one more time and lay it on just to soak up a little bit of that moist ink. There we go. Now, I've tried this a couple different ways, and I've had the best luck by adding the glue to the inside of the frame. So using the Art Glitter Glue Dries Clear adhesive, it has a fine tip. I'm going to very gently put a small amount of glue right along the edge of this frame, trying not to get it too close, but not too far away, because you don't have a lot of wiggle room. You have like 1/8 of an inch, that's about it, with these dimensions. And you really don't want to be adding too much wet to that Distress Oxide background because it'll fade your color. So you want to go gentle with the glue. And then I try to line this up evenly. One good thing about that designer dries glue, it does dry clear and matte, so you shouldn't see a sheen. I didn't do too bad there, to be honest. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the black piece right now. Now this I don't have to worry about. I can just put a ton of glue on this and it'll be fine. Add that to the back. And my picture is done, and it is ready for my junk journal. How simple was that, and how cute, right? So all we have to do is add a little bit of shading under her feet, which I could have done this ahead of time or before I mounted it. Really doesn't matter because you're not going to see anything underneath. So you can add this at any time, before or after. And then for the wings, I'm going to just use a pink glitter pen that I have. You can use actual glitter if you like. I tend to just use the pens themselves, adding just a very light layer. Again, if you wanted to do this prior to putting the frame on, you could have. Again, up to you. There's no rules. There's no right or wrong. And then when I'm done adding the glitter pen, I like to use the Jelly Roll pen that's clear. And I go over top of it just to kind of blend it out a little bit and to fill in some areas. And I try my best to stay off of the black ink. But I don't think the glitter pen police will come and get you if you hit some of that black. Okay, so how simple was that? And what a cute element to add to your junk journals. You know, and even if you didn't want to do this in a junk journal, you could put this on your card topper if you wanted, or you could add this into a card, and that would be really sweet. So here's my original. Here's my reproduction, which I'm pleased with both of them. And I'll show you one more time. Good old Drake with his crown and his portrait. This was fun to make. And another one with the hairs, just having a good old time. Hey, if you give this a go and you make some Polaroids, whether it be for a junk journal or whether it be for a card topper or even something a little extra to throw into a card, why don't you give me a shout out and tag me in the Facebook group and share it with all of us. We would love to see your creations. Hope you had fun. I hope you'll give this a go, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.